Good afternoon everyone, and welcome back to the Rah Rabbit. So recently I turned 27, which I know in the grand scheme of things is still very, very young, but it's forced me to have a closer look at my life and where it's going and where I want it to go and all of that. So I've been thinking a bit about YouTube, for example, and how I actually started making YouTube videos probably about 6 years ago, and at that point it was sort of a channel where I spoke about loads of different things, mostly about lucid dreaming, about mental health, and about being trans, which is sort of still what my channel is about. But at that point there was kind of no structure. There's no structure now, but there was even less structure then, and it was more or less about just making or talking about what I wanted to talk about at that point in time. And I was quite nervous because I had recently started testosterone, and even though I passed as male, I still felt very self-conscious. I was still worried about how I sounded and how I looked, if people would perceive me as male. And I guess for me it was very difficult to watch back. I still find it quite difficult to watch myself now for a number of reasons, and I'll get into those. But yeah, it was even harder then when I was still in my early stages of transitioning, and I didn't feel like my body really reflected who I was at that point. So I did videos for a little while. I can't remember why I stopped, but then in 2016 I joined Team Lucid Dream when Giz Edwards started that up again and was looking for people to be on that channel. So I started making videos for Team Lucid Dream, and I decided then that I would start making videos again on my channel, and because I was so focused on lucid dreaming at that point, I figured, well, I'm going to make my channel just about lucid dreaming, and then I created a separate channel which was going to be about trans topics, but I thought I was a bit too boring, to be honest. I still kind of do, but there were loads of other trans YouTubers who were making much better content, who weren't as dull and boring and monotonous as me, so I figured there was probably no point in really talking about transition stuff. And then later on, once I'd started making more videos on the Rah Rabbit, I decided, well, instead of just being about lucid dreaming, I'm going to go back to it being about me, about who I am as a person and what it is that I do. And of course lucid dreaming came into that. It's mostly about that, but again I went back to talking more openly about trans topics and mental health and just my whole experience of being alive. And I did okay for the first sort of year, when I sort of like 2016, 2017, started to build up a few subscribers, and I was able to monetize my videos. Never actually made any money on my videos. Like, there's probably about 20 quid sat in an AdSense account, but I never got to the threshold. And then obviously YouTube became a more corporate, more of a business. There was the adpocalypse. There was the whole, I think it started with PewDiePie and whatever that issue was. And then fast forward a couple of years to Logan Paul doing his Suicide Forest thing. It became harder to get adverts on videos, particularly for smaller channels. And then I lost the right for I can never say it. Monetize. I couldn't make money. Because I had to have 1,000 subscribers and so much watch time and all of that, which I still don't have, which is quite depressing. Well, no, it's not. I'm not really cut out for making videos, I know that, and it's not because I don't have ideas or because I'm not creative enough. It's just I still have a hard time being on camera, and there is a side to me that is a lot more energetic and a lot more entertaining, but I struggle to access that part of me when I'm on camera. It's just difficult, it is. And so obviously in the last couple of years it's been harder to make videos because YouTube as a platform, it's become a lot harder for smaller channels. And let's be honest, I'm not making anything the stuff that I'm making is very, very niche. So we've got lucid dreaming, but I'm not gonna do some clickbaity shit. I'm not gonna pretend I have all the answers to how you can be the best lucid dreamer. I'm not gonna go down a spiritual path when I'm not spiritual and promote ideas that I don't personally believe in, just for the sake of maybe getting more viewers. So there's that, and also my lucid dreaming stuff is very focused around mental health, and although I think this is a great topic, and I'm sure there are lots of other people who think that as well, it's hard to get that idea out there because not a lot of people are searching for it. It's not going to be high up, it's just hard for people to find that content. And I'm talking a lot about my own personal experiences with hearing voices, so I'm making videos on hearing voices about very specific things, and a lot of people don't have those experiences, and the people that do just haven't found my videos, or I'm not promoting it well enough, or working the algorithm system. It's people aren't gonna find those videos. And again, on the topic of mental health, when it comes to my experiences, it's still pretty much unusual and stigmatized, and it's not what other people are going to be looking for. So, as you already know, I've spoken about this so many times, the main issue, I call it issue, but the main thing that I experience is hearing voices, and the nature behind these voices has been up for debate for so long. I've been having these experiences since I was like 11, 12. I can't remember anything. And when I've been in the mental health system, there's been debate over what this is about. Initially I was seen for psychosis, because especially Darren, who's like the first voice I started hearing, he has a lot of how I suppose a lot of the symptoms I was having when Darren was around when I was younger were psychotic in nature, but I still didn't quite fit the criteria for psychosis, I guess, because I've always been quite logical and rational, and even though at the same time I've been logical and rational, but I'm also very deeply involved in fantasy. It's very easy for me to get lost in my head for a very long period of time and forget where I am or who I am and all that shit. But I think because I was able to, I don't know, either way, I was with a team that deals with psychosis. I was with them for about 4 years, and they were never quite convinced or quite happy with that label of psychosis. They couldn't quite, I don't think it was enough for them. And then I got a working diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder, which used to be multiple personality disorder, which occasionally does get confused with schizophrenia, even though it's a completely different thing. So it's difficult because you could say that a lot of my symptoms are very much like DID. There are a lot that are closer to something psychotic. I have a lot of depression, I have a lot of anxiety. I'm just a big fucked up mess. And then I'm trans, so it's more shit to deal with. So yeah, my videos on lucid dreaming have been very focused around mental health, around DID and psychosis and stuff like that, and particularly my journey with Darren and how I used lucid dreaming to speak to Darren on a much closer level, and break down some of the barriers that we had in waking life. And I got to learn about why I experience him, or some of the reasons why he's there. And he is this voice or this alter that deals with a lot of anger, with a lot of negative emotions, stuff that I can't process, stuff that I have difficulty feeling or understanding, because I'm very disconnected from my emotions. I always have been. So it's almost like these parts are like pieces of my personality that I haven't been able to integrate into a full functioning human being. So there's that. And yeah, I think because I'm not trying to sensationalize it, I'm not, I don't have loads of energy, and I can't do energetic. I'm not. I'm fucking boring. No, I'm not. Yeah, I am. And I don't think I work as an on-screen persona. Like, even if I got one of the other guys to do it, it's still very difficult. And I'll explain how that works too. So, obviously, with dissociative identity disorder, typically one of the main parts of that is having amnesia and not remembering when another personality was out and doing things, which happens for a lot of people, but for me that's not necessarily the case. I've definitely had periods that I don't remember, and I have evidence that shows that I've done something, like Ted, for example, tends to buy clothes, and I don't remember buying them. So I do have moments like that, and it's usually when I'm very, very overwhelmed that happens. But typically, I would describe it as, and this is an analogy that has been used quite a few times in other DID channels, of being in a car. So I'm like the driver in a car, and one of the other voices might be in the passenger seat, they might be in the back seat, like that. So if my body is this vehicle, and I'm pretty much always in the driver's seat, but then there'll be somebody in the passenger seat who is watching what I'm doing, who can comment on what I'm doing, who has some degree of control over the car, a bit, but not really. And then sometimes it's more like I'm the passenger in the car and one of them is driving. It's this kind of like, there's like this little internal struggle going on between two parts of me, the main part, which you see before you, and these other people. So that's difficult, and I feel quite strange making videos about that. Like, I don't necessarily want to be a DID channel, because I don't want it to be some kind of freak show, and that's just my feelings on that. Obviously I don't feel about that with other people's, like other people who have DID channels, but for me, I still struggle a lot with the acceptance of this, and I feel like I can't make the videos that I would like to make until I've got to a point where I can accept things. And I don't want to parade all these different voices around on camera like there's some kind of spectacle for other people. I don't want to deal with the negative backlash of people thinking it's all fake and all of that, which, when you want to have an online persona, whether it's through videos or blogging or anything else, it's difficult to do that and not have some negativity. That's always going to happen, and if you can't handle that, then it's going to be difficult to really do anything. So again, that's something that I'm kind of dealing with. And again, I don't want to make my entire identity about having several identities, and I just don't want to make a big show out of it. And this isn't to say that other DID channels do that. I know there are people who go on there and their different parts will make videos and talk very openly, and they'll have a big fan base, and they'll switch on camera and they'll be very open about it. And I'm not saying that those people are doing it for show, absolutely not. There are a lot of really awesome DID content creators, but for me, I just don't feel comfortable doing that, because again, I feel like other people are watching it just as entertainment rather than this is my life. And there are some great parts of it, but there are also some really not great parts of it, and I don't want to give too much of myself away. I also feel it's not fair to these guys up here, because they should have a say in it as well. And one of the things recently is, I've documented my process with Darren and the Lucid Dreams. I've done a few talks on that. I've done a couple of talks in London with Charlie Morley, talking about the potential of lucid dreaming and trauma work and mental health, what I've done with that, the potential, the pros, the cons, the the importance of safeguarding, all of that stuff. But you know, I'm talking about something quite personal, and I realise that maybe Darren doesn't actually want me to do that or reduce his existence to this experiment, this lucid dreaming experiment. So, you know, I don't want to just make a video so that people come along and look at it, and I get views and I get fans and subscribers, and then hopefully potentially money. But I don't want to exploit. That's the word. Sorry, Rara. That's the word I'm looking for. Exploit. I don't want to exploit the people in my head. I don't want to exploit myself. I just don't want to do that. And, you know, as far as video content, like, nowadays YouTube, you know, a lot of the people who are like YouTube famous or Instagram famous or all of that bollocks, you know, it's usually following a trend. You know, you see what's trending, you see what gets views, and you make videos based on that. And then you get a lot of people who are basically exactly the same, doing the same videos, just clickbaiting the hell out of everything. And again, that's kind of, if you want to be, if your main goal is to be a YouTuber or to be a content creator and to make money off that and to make a living and a name, then obviously you kind of have to do that. But I'm not gonna turn myself into a big joke or a clown and fuck around and do shit that isn't important to me or reflects who I am for the sake of making money or making views or all of that. So, you know, I am still a very small channel. I am still a man sat in his bedroom, a 27-year-old man who rarely leaves the house because he's afraid of everything, talking to his imaginary friends, making videos with a rabbit who also has a vagina. And, you know, I don't know how to market that. There's no blueprint, there's no guideline, there's no body before me who I can take inspiration from. You know, I'm just figuring this shit out, and, you know, I'm worried about the future. I'm worried about everything. But, you know, particularly when it comes to making money and looking after myself, you know, I struggle with that because I find it almost impossible to be around people, because there are people up here who can't stand being around people. I don't even know what it is. I don't know what it is. What I'm doing now is I'm trying to make content that I just enjoy making. If no one watches it, then fine. If people watch it and they like it, that's fantastic. If people watch it and they relate to it, brilliant. You know, if it helps somebody, great. That's really all that I want. Obviously, I'd like to be able to make money from it. It's just figuring out how to do it without compromising my principles, without compromising who I am, by, you know, doing it by staying true to myself. And even though I am quite open on YouTube, I am quite open in some online spaces, there's still a lot of anonymity to it. But recently I've kind of realised that if I kind of want to do something like this, I need to be more out there, I need to be more proactive, and I need to show who I am. Because a lot of people don't know hardly anything about me. Like, my family, people that I live with, don't know the extent of what goes on. So I do live a very private, very sheltered life, and I want to try and stop doing that and put more of myself into my artwork. Recently I've got back into the idea of doing comics or more cartoony artwork, because that's what I used to do as a kid. It was sort of after college that I started doing like super realistic artwork, because I thought that's what made me a good artist, when really it didn't. It just meant I was very good at observing something and copying it, and doing it really, really well. But there's no creativity in that, there's no originality in that, there's none of me in that. And now I need to start putting me in these things. So going back to comics, cartoons, video games, you know, still doing realistic art, but putting my own flair on it. I don't know what that was, I'm never doing that again. So my plan is to make comics about lucid dreaming, about DID, or about mental health stuff in general, maybe some trans stuff. I'm gonna just start doing work that is me, and hopefully people want to buy that. If they don't, then I'm fucked. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'm not quite sure where this video was going or what I intended this video to be, but here we are. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I have been Max, aka the Rara Rabbit. If you would like to support me on Patreon, you can. I will be changing all of that soon because it's going to be more art focused than just video focused, but feel free to check that out, and you know, maybe you might want to give me some money in the future. I don't know. As well as that, there is the 20% off on any Vivid Dream product. The discount code and link will be in the description. You can also check out my Redbubble page. And yeah, I think that's about all we have to say, Rara. Yeah. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I've been Max, aka the Rara Rabbit. I can't remember who I am. I'll see you in the next video.